Hi everyone, welcome. It's Jav here from Medieval Mirage. I'm here to do another Bohemian Coffee Staining technique with you. I have already laid down a piece of already dried coffee stain paper underneath. But what I did was, the back of it was not completely covered, so there were lots of patches of white. So all I did was just soak that side in a bit of the coffee, but the top layer is kind of dry, but in some places it's just sort of leaked through. I've laid down the coloured cardstock, trying to create like a mosaic effect, and you want these colours to intermix. Now some of these have been die cut in shapes, but some of them, these ones here, I used in my faux sari silk fabric paper technique. I always get my little techniques all muddled up because there's a lot involved. But yeah, so for that faux sari fabric paper look, I've just made them into die cuts. They already have gold on them, these ones. So I have placed them down. Now, one thing that you can do, if you want to just add a bit more gold to this now, just haphazardly, you can go ahead and get your metallic gold spray and just sort of randomly and lightly, it doesn't have to be really heavy-handed at this stage, you know, and you can just let it do its thing that way. But that's just an idea, but you don't have to do it at this stage. I'm now going to turn this over because there is another step that we need to do, and that is wet these the coloured cardstock. Alright, so I'm happy with, let me just do this again. Now the only thing with gold spray though is that it has a tendency to stick. So let's just wet this down with water. This is just water. We're activating the colours in the coloured cardstock. And yes, I'm going to have to get another, oh there we go, better spray, that's it. So you want to kind of saturate it with the water, or just how I'm doing it, because we want to activate this, this water bottle is being a bit of a nuisance. Let's see. Yeah. Alright, so here's the stencil, and I'm going to place it down like so. And I mean, look, just activating this is fine, you know. You may want to put a layer of coffee on there, spray layer of coffee, but I'm not going to, because I'm now soaking the top piece with into coffee, and it is a bit of a, it's kind of a medium to dark brew. You just decide on the colour, the depth of colour of coffee for yourself. If you want it light, go light. If you want it dark, go dark. But it's totally a preference thing. I've just sprayed a little bit on it just to make it a little bit more grungy. So it's a bit missing. sorry, not missing but not covered properly. Alright, so I'm laying this down, come around the other side. I'm trying to cover all the paper as best I can. Alright, now it is a little bit light in, I think I watered down this brew a little bit too much, so I'm going to alright, and then with your paper towel, like I've told you, you're going to dip your paper towel into your tray, and then you're going to just press down gently so that the paper has something to adhere to. And then what will happen is the actual colours of the paper will start to bleed through, or they'll be activated and they'll bleed through. So that's all it is. Now, I feel like my my coffee brew, I think I added a bit too much water to it. It's looking quite light, but that's okay. I'll let it do its thing, and then if I feel it needs more when it's dried, then I'll just go around with it again, and I'll make sure I do that. Now, one thing I do, so this was the brew, but I think I put too much water in. I wasn't actually thinking at the time. So what I do, if I'm not happy with the brew, rather than, so this tray is almost empty, I'm just going to throw that in there and just make another brew that's a lot thicker to go in this one. But this one here in the tray, this will do me for a lot of pages. And you know, sometimes when you're making this either for your clients or as gifts, not everyone is into very heavily coffee stain paper or grunge. So sometimes I do a batch of light coloured coffee stain paper. If my husband's got some spare tea around, I usually add a bit of the tea with the coffee, or I'll water it down, my strong coffee brew, with the tea. Beautiful. It's a beautiful combination, very rich colour. So you'll see this pooling here. I don't mind it pooling, but even the shapes are coming through with the stencil. So I'll be back with the results, everyone. Thank you so much for coming to my show and share. It's always great to have you with me. Please take care of yourselves, and I'll catch up with you next time. All the best now. Bye. Hey everyone. The coffee is pooling quite heavily here. I don't mind because I love it is all about that coffee look. But you can see the stencils coming through, and the colours are bleeding in as well, or bleeding through. Oh, excuse me. So what I'm going to do is I am going to layer a little bit of gold, just a little bit, because I love coffee and gold. And I might just lift up my, all I'm doing is I've got my mop up, my main mop up. I'm just spreading it around just so that it's not pooling in one place, which I don't mind, but I just want to spread a little bit more of the coffee everywhere, because it's not that dry. I mean, it's just pooling in one place. So not dry, what I mean is it's not it's not very dark around the edges, which is what I love. because it was a light brew. Excuse me, I've still got this bad cough. But anyway, it's doing its thing, and I'm really pleased with that. So I'll just grab it and put it over in a bit of a corner thing there, just to spread it out, because I love coffee with metallic gold. I just think it looks incredible. So I'm not compromising, so be careful you don't compromise what's happening underneath. But there we go. Yeah, I'm happy with that now. I've spread it out. So that's why your mop-up paper or your mop-up cloths or plastics underneath. I did lay down some of the wax paper only because I'm just trying to protect this fabric. It was for curtains. You know that sunblock out that you can get? Blocks out, well, it's kind of like a thermal. It kind of blocks out the cold and the sun. Well, I had a lot left over, and it's turned out to be really a great weave for when I need it with my coffee staining. I love the weave of it. But underneath it, this bit here, that's the plastic drop sheet that kind of stops anything from, you know, going crazy. Yeah, now the coffee color has changed only because I've thrown in the gold, but I don't mind, because I will go back in again and deal with that. But I just wanted to show you that. Now there is another thing I wanted to show you. If for some reason you don't want it to pull underneath in the center, I've just put something underneath it, and I've now flattened out the surface. So you know how I'm always encouraging you to do your peaks and valleys. In some instances you may not want that. So you might want to be spreading things out, which is what I wanted. So with this, so you can see that. So yeah, it's all about letting the coffee travel to where it's going to go, and if you don't like it on that side, all you have to do is spin it around, and eventually it'll go onto the other side, and kind of end up where it will naturally end up, as you can see it going down its path. It's a fascinating thing to watch, really fascinating. But what you'll see is you get more results with just little effort. So we'll be getting two papers from these, the one underneath and the one in the middle, and then the byproduct is your coloured cardstock that you've torn up and die cut. It does that too. So alright, so let me just speed this up a little bit, because I'll let you guys go, and I'll be back with the results when I see you next. Alright everyone, thank you so much for your company. Thank you. I'll see you guys soon. Bye. Hey everyone, it's me again. I just thought what I would do is mop up that bit there. So I've decided that's what I'm going to do. So I've got some of my mop-up paper and I'm going to just pick up whatever's there, because I'm really liking the effect that the gold is leaving behind. But I don't want it to sort of overpower this area here. So excuse my hands, they're very dry but also very deeply coffee stained. Yeah, really coffee stained. So sorry about that. Anyway, so it's going to leave a beautiful impression on here. So this is what I call my coffee stamping. Okay. So I'm going to let it continue to do its magic. It's looking really pretty. What I might do is just maybe add a little bit more gold now that we've got a level playing field. Just a little bit here. And I don't mind that it's just droplets. Okay, that's it. Just a little bit, just in places where I felt it needed it. I don't mind this kind of building up. And if I do anything, what I will do is, depending on how this dries, because it takes a while to dry because we've really layered it down with a lot of liquid, I might go in just in the corners with a bit of extra coffee, but you can see the incredible color dynamics coming through. Absolutely glorious. I hope you can see that. Maybe I should take you in there. So let's do that just a little bit closer. There you go. You can see the colors are now coming through, and because I'm using a swirly kind of a stencil, the colors are just going to swirl together so beautifully. I mean, it's just stunning. So that's the Boho-Bohemian Coffee Staining technique with the gold layered in between, the metallic gold, because it just adds to that kind of boho feel. Yeah, let's have a look up close. So you can just see the colors are just coming together so beautifully. Let's go in a bit closer. Okay, and you can see a bit of the colors bleeding into each other. And this is where you're going to get fantastic byproduct of the offcuts or the die cuts and the scraps of coloured cardstock, which you can use in your collages, and just so many other, you can use them to make your own mosaics. Yeah, and your mixed media projects. Alright everyone, the colours are delicious, aren't they? Just delicious. And I haven't done anything except set it up and let it do its thing. Alright everyone, take care. I'll be back when this is all dried and we can look at it together. Thanks everyone, take care, bye. Hey everyone, I'm back again. I was just checking this. It's still a little bit damp, but because I'm kind of a bit worried that the gold kind of can be a bit sticky, I thought while it's still slightly, it's not saturated, but while it's still a little bit damp, I thought I would go along and just kind of loosen the papers a little bit so that we don't get that kind of stuck on effect. It's really looking so beautiful. Just going over it with that coffee spray and that gold has just been fantastic. It's kind of pulled around in certain spots, and a lot of the other areas it's just left little droplets which look amazing. And the kind of effects with the other colors that are coming through are really beautiful. So I did pull away a little bit from this, so just be very careful because it will kind of stick, but that's this is probably the best time to be pulling it off, just in case you run into problems. So it is really sticky over here. It's stuck onto the paper, so I'm going to turn this way. It's looking so pretty. So yeah, when it's still damp and cool to the touch, there we go. So I've just pulled that away. Well, that looks beautiful just like that, doesn't it? Can you see that? So just so beautiful. And I guess you could achieve that if you painted your stencil gold and laid it down. but very mosaic Byzantium feel there, but also that boho feel. But so this is the other side. So this is the side that looks a little bit bleached, which is a great effect actually. But it was because my papers were not heavily coffee stained. That's why it's quite light, but it's not bad. If that happens to you and you want more grunge, all you have to do is go in with your coffee spray bottle. Where's mine? So your coffee spray bottle, go in there and go for it, but also throw in some gold as well. But on this side you can see it's got much more depth and interest, because that's where we kind of focus the extra coffee, and of course we added the gold. So I'll give you a close-up, but just remember this is quite damp still, but it's really pretty, really pretty. Okay, so this is our Boho-Bohemian Coffee Staining, and the colours are just gorgeous, and the gold just really does, you know, make it magical, really magical. I mean, look at they're so vibrant, the colours in some instances, you know. Alright, so I hope that's given you an idea of what the papers will look like. The top, and this is only the top layer, because the colours have all bled through beautifully. Alright, I'm going to go back out again. Oops. Back there. And I'll place that back here again so you can just see a little bit. I'm not sure. I'm just going to move it around because the sun's shining through, but the colours are just so gorgeous. I'm not sure if that you can see it. So if I just kind of move it around, but really pretty. So, so just remember with your coffee staining, if you want to have more depth, so basically that's the difference. Maybe if I do it on this side. Yeah. So what I would do is I would probably just go over it with a bit of the gold, you know, and just leave it as is. But this is definitely my favorite side, and just be mindful, because normally my papers are always really dark, but I wasn't actually thinking when I did the mix, and I think I definitely put more water, and so that's why it was a bit of a washed out effect, but still really pretty. Okay, so I'll put that aside. Now this one is still damp, but not heavily so. Shall we have a look, or shall we let it cure a little bit more? So we're getting these beautiful effects. Let me just see what we should do. I don't know what we should do. It is kind of sticking a little bit to the papers, but you can actually see the beautiful gold coming through onto the cardstock that we can use as our what do we call it, as our, I can't think, for our collages. So look, let's pull it off and have a look at this. Now there you go, that's a mosaic piece right there and then. So I mean, you could, you know, go over it with Mod Podge like this. You know, you could put Mod Podge right over that, and you've got a beautiful collage 3D feel of a piece. Can I get in a bit closer? But yeah, really pretty. So you would need to let it dry, and then you would need to go over it with Mod Podge, and some of the pieces might even lift, so you would need to go underneath them. So that would be a nice project for your mixed media or even for your journal. So so that's something you can do, and the actual individual pieces are stunning. Shall I show you what I mean? Okay, some of these might actually fall off, so okay, so see the how the gold, oops, spray, and then the colors blending in to each other. It's, once again, it's really hard to give you an impression, but I'll do my best, and I'm sorry if I'm not in focus. There you go. So these you can use as for mosaic pieces, as your byproduct, or for your collaging. But these are the wonderful byproduct. Oh, look at those. Oh, divine. A little piece fell off there. I never really poked out my holes properly with the die cuts. Look at that. Yum-y. Look. Isn't that so bohemian boho? I mean, just gorgeous. Okay. So if I pull that back, oh yeah, that's how you can look at it. So that's another thing you can do. You can use it as a mosaic boho piece, and glue each piece down and make a collage of it. So I'm going to take this back out again. Hang on a second. Let's see. I'll bring it back there. Okay, now I'm just about out of time. Just put that back there. So I'll be back to show you our next step. Alright everyone, thank you. I hope you enjoyed my Boho-Bohemian Coffee Staining with the mosaic tile twist. I love doing a play on words with titles. I really do. It's just so much fun. Alright everyone, thank you. I'll see you soon. Bye. Hey everyone, I'm back again for our, let me see if I can make this a little bit higher. Okay, so I wanted to show you the next stage of this. So it's still a little bit damp, but I'm going to just pull these guys off, and the colors that have been left behind are just so pretty with the gold over the top. So I'm just going to put them to one side, and I don't care how they're bunched up, because even if they're damp, they're still bleeding their colors, and it's going to leave some really pretty impressions. I'll definitely show you those up close when they're dry, because it's so worth your while. Just getting that colored cardstock, and then you've got your, and when you do this process, you've got a whole lot of very boho, bohemian, gypsy papers that you can use in your collaging, and I will show you how I make those papers. But there's the results. Looking pretty cute. Very pretty. You can see a little bit of the stencil coming through. This is what the back of it looks like. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab another piece of paper, our mop-up paper, and I'm going to place that on top. And all we're going to do is, well, I'm going to maybe activate the paper underneath so that we can get something happening there. Okay, so this is just my process. I know sometimes there's no rhyme or reason to it, but just stick with me and enjoy. There's always a method to my madness, so just put that there. I'm going to get my favourite stencil again. I know I'm very boring, I can't help it. I'm going to lay that down. And I'm going to spray just a tad, not too much of the, what do we call it? The coffee brew. I'm now going to activate what colours are there by just spraying a little bit of water. And this water bottle is a very annoying one. I had to swap them because they all die on me, and now this one's a brand new one that's been very uncooperative. Okay. Alright, so you do that. Looks really pretty with that stencil on there, doesn't it? So, yes, like I said, you could paint a stencil and then, or stencil. Oh, I don't know what I'm talking about. Okay. Now here's my absolutely loved and adored metallic gold paint, as you know. And hopefully this will work. And then I just go crazy. And that's that. So, we'll let it do its thing. And I'll be back with that. Now, just quickly, I've got a few minutes with you. So, this was our top layer, as you'll recall. This was the other side of it, and though it's pretty, it does need a bit more oomph. So I would layer another stencil, I think, over it and just spray it with gold. Maybe a little bit of coffee, just a little bit of coffee. So that's that paper. And this paper, that's two, and then right in the background, as you can see, are the beautiful, beautiful byproducts. So I will try and do a video when these finally dry for you to see how gorgeous they are. Alright everyone, I'll be back with the results real soon. Take care, bye. Hey everyone. Hi, welcome. It's Jav here from Medieval Mirage. I'm here to show you the results of my Boho-Bohemian Coffee Staining technique. And I must admit, I'm so sorry. I got into a bit of a panic because I remembered that I didn't take my own advice, and I had pressed my stencil in after I had sprayed with the coffee and the gold. And then, you know, about a couple of hours later, I remembered that this could compromise the paper because it can stick. And I was right. And so I had to very carefully peel away the stencil. And as you can see, there's bits of paper left behind. And then it glued, and it kind of glued itself to what was underneath it. So I know my brews are really, really quite kind of thick, and that's most likely why. But also the metallic gold spray, it's quite thick as well. I don't water it down. I guess I should, but anyway, so just be mindful of that, you know, you've got to kind of just keep a check on it. And yeah, okay, so basically these are the results, except for a few minor, you know, attacks on the papers. They've come out really beautifully. So if you remember the very first top layer that we started off with, remember that? That was the very top layer. Very bold, really, in comparison, but really, really pretty. The colours have kind of mixed in really well. And then that's underneath. This is kind of more of a bleached effect because the paper that we used, that I had put into my coffee tray, was a diluted coffee rather than a strong one. So it gave it that very bleached effect, but the colours have come out pretty. Okay, so that's that one. And then this was the next page down, and we did a bit of work on that, but isn't that glorious? I mean, it is so glorious. how the colors have run into each other, and you know, they're not, yeah, it's just an amazing technique, really, in the sense that you're walking away and letting this do its thing, letting science and chemicals and gravity do their thing, and you're walking away and you're doing something else. Just really beautiful. And that's the back of it with no gold. Lovely. Once again, the colors are lovely. Really great for those Boho-Bohemian papers. And you know, you can even add them into some of your medieval themed or kits, because medieval was all about color as well. They loved their colors. But really beautiful. Or Renaissance even. And then this one is the very bottom page, which kind of got stuck to this one, and it took a while to prise them apart, but there was a little bit of damage left behind. But you know what? I love the damage. I think the damage actually gives it interest. It's a junk journal, isn't it? I mean, we love that kind of look anyway. So we can achieve it by any means, I guess. So that's the last page. Really pretty. I mean, this is really pretty. And there you go. And then there's just hints of the gold here and there. And just stunning. Just really stunning. So I wanted to show you those papers because if you've got the cardstock, coloured cardstock, well, why not make it work for you in some really stunning effects, especially if you're going for that boho gypsy look. Yeah. All right. Now the byproduct of all this. So look what we've made. We've made 3 papers, and in fact with this one you could put another stencil over the top and then spray it with water and coffee if you want. Coffee on its own or just water on its own, and just put a stencil over the top and see what it does, because once again your colors are going to start melding again. So you can keep building on these papers if you feel they're a bit too garish or too much, but this is what we've done and it's double-sided, you know, it's double-sided. So with just minimal effort, you get 3 beautiful papers. All right. So that's the Boho-Bohemian Coffee Staining technique that I'm happy to share with you. All right. Now the other byproduct is this. All right. And these are the things that I like to use in collaging and making some boho gypsy ephemera with. Now you will be delighted at the way the colors end up on some of these cardstocks. Now you can keep reusing these until they fade, but if you find some that you think you can't live without, so for example, okay, so these are just the scraps of coloured cardstock. This is going to be a bit hard for you to see now, isn't it? Can we make this work? No. It's just the, excuse my coffee stained hands. I don't know if this is going to pick it up, but the, yeah, it's very hard to show you. My viewfinder isn't that great, so it might be better on screen, but yeah. So what about if I just try and zoom in closer here, and maybe then you might be able to see it better. But yes, oh, this is pretty. I don't know if you'll be able to see that, so I'll just move them around anyway. But the colors that blend together are just so glorious. They really are. Yeah, I think you might be able to pick these up Yes. So, and then they blend, and then they leave behind interesting shapes. So yeah, great things for your collaging. Look at that. I mean, that's just glorious. Yeah. So, and I'll show you how I use these. I mean, wow, there's quite a lot of colours there, and some of them look batik-y, very batik. That's pretty. So yeah, so if I kind of shuffle these around like this, you might be able to see. But like I said, you can keep reusing these to get more of your Boho-Bohemian coffee staining done. I'm just shuffling these around so that you can see. I mean, look, look at that cutie. I mean, you know, just really, really cute. Okay. So yeah, and really pretty colors, like, because they're all kind of intermingled and they leave behind all sorts of decorations and colors. Oh, that's pretty. Oh yeah, that's pretty. Look at that. So it's left that impression, and some colors are just completely altered from their original. I'm sorry if this is not in frame. I mean focused. Oh, my words go missing sometimes. So yeah, everyone. So I'll show you how to do that in an upcoming video on how to use your scraps in your boho journals. But yep, collaging, you can make mosaics with these, you can do whatever you like. But that's the other byproduct. So from the Boho-Bohemian Coffee Staining, okay, we've not only got three pages that are double-sided, we now have these gorgeous little elements that we can use as well. So that's 4 for the price of 1. All right, everyone, thanks so much for your visit. Take care.